and women were created as divine beings of equal standing in the eyes of the Unisci. The only difference when you are in a gender world between men and women is the polarity and not a value. Each polarity, male, female, has its strengths. When we start to embrace the concept of polarity, we come to recognize that our power to love, manifest, and ascend lies within unifying the polarities. The male electrical polarity, or man A, dominant, has a little advantage as far as a push in transmitting frequency. The female, or ear A dominant form, has a little more advantage in receiving and pulling frequency. Without being able to pull in higher frequencies that the females are good at doing, you would not be able to undergo the process of higher identity integration. In every man and woman, there exists the opposite expression. Both men and women are transmitters and receivers. But if you are in a female body, you will tend towards the ability to pull in frequency. You can still transmit, but your strength will be pulling and drawing frequency. If you're in the male body, your strength will be transmitting frequency. The original intention of unification of male and female was a recognition of each other's strengths and knowing that if you put the two together, you have a unified power of a balanced pull and a balanced push. The male push would amplify the female push, and the female would amplify the male pull, so you become whole faster. There used to be a divine order to sexual union between male and female, between the polarities. Males and females were intended to accelerate each other's integration of higher identities. Through certain belief systems, men and women began vying for power from each other. People began to align in sexual unions that were not appropriate for the codings involved, and it made it so most of us could not integrate the higher levels of identity because through sexual union, we built up more distortions instead of accelerations. Men and women were intended to accelerate each other's evolution. There is an etheric crystal program in the second chakra. When we begin to heal the etheric crystal program in the second chakra, we are going to open ourselves to what was the natural program with respect to male-female, polarity, balance in our own bodies, as well as electrical magnetic balance within our hologram. When these crystals are released, if you have a polarity imbalance with respect to your beliefs, for example, they will come up to be healed. Remember that your consciousness is the camera, and you can change the filters. Beliefs are ideas. Ideas turn into sound patterns of electromagnetic light and sound when they are in the body. If your beliefs and the things that you choose to honor with your mind are not in divine alignment as far as what creates harmony and peace, it will literally create blockages in your bioenergetic field that block the ability of the higher levels to integrate. The concept of twins. We have a physical twin in this reality that is our genetic twin. Twins in this three-dimensional reality system are referred to as fraternal twins, identical twins, and Siamese twins. Fraternal twins come from two separated seeds or eggs, and identical twins come from the same seed. Gender twins come from the same seed as well. The difference is that genetic twins come from the human seed, while gender twins come from the God seed. So your gender twin is your divine complement. Our planet has a twin called Parallel Earth. Our Eka has a twin called Parallel Eka. This is where we get the Li Tor A and the Li Adore flames. It is all different levels of consciousness. Our sun has a twin. Our whole stairway to heaven system has a twin. The concept of twins implies that there is one that is predominantly electrical and one that is predominantly magnetic. When the two energies come into balance, manifestation begins to take place. We live in a PCM, which is Particum universe, that has a female monad at dimension 13. Its twin in the PKA, which is Partica universe, and has a male monad at dimension 13. They are the opposite expression of each other. Incarnation cycle. When a being incarnates on the planet, they take on as part of their genetic code, part of their DNA template that first sets the vibrational variances of the time frame that the planet is in. Then they will have a certain vector, which is a smaller cycle within that cycle, that will be the single line time vector that they will perceive. We have a time cycle which governs a whole density level. There are 6 what are called the time continua, which are smaller cycles, and they govern cycles of evolution on a planetary body. Then within continuum cycles, there are even smaller cycles called time vectors. Please see my video about timelines and time continuas. When incarnations come in, they place themselves in a time vector and one of those specific sets of vibration within a set of vibration and within a set of vibration. The process of moving from birth through death is a process of moving your consciousness from a point of its lowest frequency and bringing it in more energy and raising the frequency of the consciousness, which gives you the perceptual hologram of moving through moments, forward and backward, moving through time and space. It is a holographic projection that we are walking around in. But that won't make much sense to you until you get to the 4th or 5th strand activation happening. When you start to go into the 4th strand activation, you will start to play with the concept, and you might even play with it seriously. The DNA strand templates are very important if spirituality is important to you, because it is through your DNA strand templates that your higher consciousness holds that cognition, because it has to come into the body. As we activate DNA, we experience forward movement of your consciousness through time within the vessel that the template is in. And as we progressively expand, picking up more of the frequencies in the DNA activating our templates, we bring in more and more of the consciousness from the higher dimensional fields that is ours, and we progressively change our relationship to space-time. It becomes less and less a real thing to us the further we evolve. What you find in the process of activating DNA that incorporate and integrate your spiritual identity is not only does your consciousness expand, but that your body form changes with that expansion. The body forms can hold only so much energy. The human body can hold 12 dimensions of frequency running, and that is good. That means that it can stand heat. That means that it can undergo expansion without having it to leave its association with the physical matter form. At this point in time, we know ourselves right now as me. When you get to be the 6th strand activated being, you will say, I know myself as they. There is a knowing that comes in the emotional body where you get this huge cognition. You start to have a freedom feeling because you realize that you are getting free from linear time. That is how you progressively work yourself out of linear time. You expand into a space of, I am 12 or 24 or 36 different people down there. And this one is exploring this, and this one is exploring that. It is like being an actor who decides to play at the same time a bunch of characters who take on different garments and takes on different roles and different players to learn different things and to stress different things. When we incarnate, we become God as sound, Kundalini. We become God as light, Ki Rasha. And we become God as a Christos template. And then we become God as a dimensionalized fields below dimension 12. They are all energy currents of the consciousness of God. When we incarnate, we take on form diversification and become affiliated with a species, a race line, a family line. We all have a Christos matrix that our oversoul matrix came out of, which our soul matrix came from, and a soul matrix out of which we came. The density 4, or harmonic universe 4, Christos creates 12 oversouls in density 3. Density 3 is also harmonic 3. The density 3 oversoul creates a set of 12 souls in density 2, or harmonic universe 2. The density 2 soul self creates a set of 12 selves down in density 1, or harmonic universe 1. There are 144 selves in density 1 that came out of 12 souls. This is our immediate family of consciousness. The importance of understanding the reality of incarnation is that it helps to understand your relationship down here and something called twinning. The mathematics in time matrices are a base 12 system. We come into incarnations on what is called a 12 clock. A 12 clock is a cycle of 12 simultaneous incarnations placed in various different time vectors within the same Earth cycle. When we come into incarnation, visualize in your mind a round clock with 12 digits on it. If you were a soul, the numbers on the clock would represent the 12 incarnate selves that you are going to be put down at the same time in the time vectors in density 1 on Earth. The first ones to come in are 6 and 12 position. They carry the most energy. Out of the 12 comes this 3 position. And at the same time, out of the 6 comes a 9 position. They are known as the 4 faces of the soul because they carry the most of the energy of that soul. Then there are the smaller cycles that would fill in the numbers in between 12, 6, 3, and 9. If you take a clock and draw the lines across from each number, you will notice that each number has a number directly across from it that represents the smaller cycles. And when you incarnate, you come in most of the time half and half. The first time you come in as a soul, the first 2 incarnations are placed in time vectors that represent the 6 and 12 positions in the 12 cycle, which would be male, female. There is a formula to incarnations that become a reality for us. Angelic humans have 1,728 selves running around in a 15-dimensional time matrix. If you are an indigo, you have many more. An indigo 2 with a 24-strand double diamond sun DNA template would have 3,456 selves. An indigo 1 with 48 strands emerald sun DNA template, you would have 6,912 selves in a 15-dimensional time matrix. That is a lot of you. When we talk about the 12 cycles or the 12 clock, it shows the process that happens when we get into numbers with respect to incarnation. Look at incarnation as a mathematical process, a spiritual process that uses the form of mathematics to express itself. Mathematics is really a form that God uses to express parts of its consciousness. Time matrix. The mathematics are base 12 in the time matrices, which gives the ability to have a 3-dimensional systems. We are in a 15-dimensional time matrix. Each harmonic universe is broken into 3 dimensions. There are 5 3-dimensional universes, 3-dimensional systems in a 15-dimensional time matrix. This is the primal order. Our incarnations are structured according to that primal order. When we talk about families of consciousness, it is very useful to realize that creation follows a specific planned order of coming down through the scalar grids, through the density levels, through the first primal sound fields of consciousness. It's called Kundalini. And then the primal light fields of consciousness. It is called Kirashe. and then the down into Christos template pre-matter liquid light, further individuating into the smaller dimensional fields below D12. D12 is in harmonic universe 4, called Aromatina. It's also density 4, and it holds 3 dimensions. It holds dimension 10, 11, and 12. When we individuate from source, we leave a part of ourselves, consciousness, at each station of reality that are fixed structures of primal order that we exist within it simultaneously. You have various cycles of 12, but they will always go into 12s because that is the mathematical formula. The base 12 mathematical system that is the formula of creation. You have your incarnate self here in density 1, harmonic universe 1. You have what is called a soul in density 2, harmonic universe 2, which is the gestalt of consciousness. It is the one being that chooses to express in sets of 12 smaller beings down in density 1. On density 3, harmonic universe 3, you have your oversoul. On density 4, harmonic universe 4, you have your avatar, your Christed self. On density 5, harmonic universe 5, you have your Rishi self, which is your connection to the Bruna, Kira, Shah, Rishi light fields. They are the fields of the living light consciousness. And beyond the Kira Shah fields, you have a part of you in the Kundalini primal sound fields of the energy matrix, in the Yanas collectives. Every being has its trail, its family of consciousness that is an energetic connection that is always there. It has a direct connection between who you are here and the expanded levels of self until you completely expand back into source. As you evolve out of density 1, you collect the consciousness you had in density 1, pull it back into 1 point, and it literally creates fusion of the particles that the consciousness took on in order to have form here. Those particles are called partikai, partika, and particum. Then they undergo fusion at the next level and replicate the form in the next density up, in a less dense form. All the 12 cycles here become one identity there, a set that is your soul self. It has a body form in the second density reality fields that is semi-etheric and is much less dense than density 1 and much healthier than the human body forms here on density 1, harmonic universe 1, which is Earth. That process continues and goes back up to density 3. And you take 12 souls and they make one oversoul in density 3, harmonic universe 3. You take 12 oversouls and they make one Christos template in density 4, harmonic universe 4, Aromatina. The 12 cycle goes all the way up. We have a twin at each level of the time matrix and beyond. We have an incarnate twin, a soul twin, an oversoul twin, an avatar twin, a Rishi twin, and beyond. The founder races in our 15-dimensional time matrix were created by the Aani Eka races and by their twin races, which are in what is called the parallel Eka. This is where we get the Adon A and their related races. As we get closer to the point where we are getting ready to make our journey out of density 1, we may be scrambling to gather any remaining codes that we need for our template. Even if you are with your ecodic twin, and you know you are, you may be missing some of the codes from your middle level twins. Primary twins, twin flames. In the process of incarnation, we have what are called primary twins. A primary twin is something different than an incarnate twin. A primary twin would be if you are the number 6 incarnate in that group of 12, your twin would be the 12. That 6 through 12 alignment is called the primary twins or the twin flames. The 12 through 6 incarnations basically direct the rest of the matrix, the rest of your incarnations, and they are the ones you come back into being in order to go back up to leave density 1, so you don't have to do cycles of incarnations anymore. The base pattern of the human imprint is 6 and 12. One is male and one is female. We have a part of ourselves in an opposite gender body that is called a gender twin. It is a twin flame. It is a 6 through 12 or a 3 through 9 alignment. The 12 is usually male. If the 12 is male, the 3 it creates is female. If 6 is female, the 9 it creates is male. The 3 and 9 become the next set of twins. They are placed in different time vectors within the same time cycle. At different times when it's time for you to experience ascension to the next level, which would be density 2, harmonic universe 2, you're going to pass from the physical matter density, carbon-based biology, to a semi-etheric density, and so on up the scale. This is how we expand back into source. There's a whole relationship between the way time cycles work on a planet and time vectors that twins are placed in when they come together. Sometimes you won't meet your twin in a particular lifetime. And when it comes to the real twins that aren't just soulmates, they run into each other only at the final, when they reach their original point of vibration. First, you'll have an incarnation where the 3 and 9 twin happens. You'll run into your twin in the same time vector. You usually know something's up because it's a very strong resonance. What happens with twins is that the 12 pattern that you came in on the sets of the DNA template, the characteristics that you will have reflected in the twins. You both have the same DNA template, one expressing dominantly man A, a frequency, and one expressing dominantly air A frequencies, which means one is more electrical and one is more magnetic, but they're expressions of the same pattern. So there is a very strong biological resonance between twins. When it comes to the natural cycles of ascension, what normally happens is that the time vectors of a planet move into a certain way that twins are brought together when it's the last time, the last incarnation, and they're not going to experience any more cycles because they've hit the original vibration that they came in on, and then they come back together. And that's where it feels like your eternal, forever companion mate. You just have this charge between you. Roosh and twins. The 12 position holds the entire pattern within itself. Also, the 12 and the 6 position are equal and hold the energy of the whole. The Roosh is formed as follows. The 12 and 6 points are created. The 6 creates the 9 position, and the 12 creates the 3 position. And then each of the 4 points phase and create the polarized outer 8 points. The 12 is usually male, and the 3 it creates is female. If the 6 is female, the 9 it creates is male. 4 faces of the soul. As we have already discussed, the first twins to come in are the 12 and the 6 positions within the incarnation cycle. Out of the 12 comes a 3 position, and out of that comes a 6 and the 9 position. They become the next set of twins. They are known as the 4 faces of the soul because they carry most of the energy of that soul. The 4 faces of the soul represents the 4 parts of self in density 1 that you need to assemble to get yourself to the next level. These would be your 4 primary aspects of self. You have yourself plus a gender twin on this side with complementary shields, coding, and a set of you on parallel. These represent the 4 faces of the soul: incarnation and soulmates. There is significance in the number incarnations that you are within this 12 cycle. If you happen to be in your number 4 incarnation, you will still have a soulmate, but that's different than a twin. It's your twin, but you're not in the 4 primary incarnations yet. You still have some cycles to go before you get to those. If you run into that person in your time vector, they will be a partner to be, but it will be a relationship to move on to the next. It will not be one that is forever. I know, you guys, it's such a bummer, right? We always just think there's that one, but there's not. But just hold on, because there's more. You can ask your own Christos self to tell you which number you are in the 12 cycle. Take a moment to reconnect with your Maharic pillar and pose this question to your Christos. Out of 12, what number is my incarnation? Am I a 6 or am I a 12? Take a moment to reconnect with your Maharic pillar and pose this question to your Christos. When we use the analogy of the 12 clock, if you can draw a line directly across the clock to the number opposite it on the clock, each number has a number directly across from it. If you were in your 11 incarnation, your soulmate would be the number 5 in the incarnation cycle. You are not yet in your last incarnation cycle where you would meet your twin flame. There's a thing that happens with the twins that's different from your average relationship on the planet. There's much more compatibility of frequency, where love is a state of vibrational harmonization. If you have DNA codes that are very similar, even if there's dissimilarity, you will still have all those frequencies that plug in. And when those frequencies in the DNA template plug in between people, it allows for open frequency to flow between you, which gives the emotional body the feeling that we identify as a feeling of connection and love and comfort. Divine complement. As mentioned in the beginning, men and women were created as divine beings, each holding a sacred piece of their other within. Gender twins usually end up as romantic couples because there is such a strong biological draw due to having full bonding of DNA strands 7 through 12, creating DNA templates that are very, very similar, where the level of love, bonding, understanding, support, and friendship is just there. With gender twins, the progressive coming together of divine coupling serves to stimulate rapid activation of each other's gene codes in order to progressively, synchronistically be able to work their way into ascension together. Twinning has to do with the DNA template, which has to do with how DNA works in the body. When you put 2 twins together, when they come together in sacred union, you're able to hold a huge energy field together, helping each other evolve and expand, bringing in the higher consciousness. When 2 gender twins come together and begin the fusion of their DNA templates, they have the ability to rapidly activate their own Merkaba, accelerating their own DNA strand template activation. Gender twins can hold in each of their bodies 3 times as much energy as either could hold alone. Indigo gender twins can anchor the Kundalini frequency, that is the primal sound fields. And when you put people together of the Ayani Council or indigos, we can anchor the Kundalini frequency alone with their gendered twin, and they can anchor 3 times the amount of Kundalini frequency. When you put 2 together, they have 3 times the power than each alone, and the 2 become 3 and the 3 become 1. They exist as intensified energy forms. Indigo twins. Indigos come in with a twin in every time vector. A time vector is a set repeating pattern of vibration that goes through a variance of vibration until it comes back to its original point. Everything is built on the science of vibrational mechanics. So time is actually the experience of consciousness moving itself through a set of fixed vibration variance patterns to evolve. Not only do indigos have one twin in their own time vector, they have another set in the inner Earth time vector at the same time and another set on the parallel Earth time vector. There's that extra inner Earth set of manifestations that goes with the indigo imprint. That's the Ayani Council that the 12-strand angelic human imprint doesn't have. With the human imprint, there is a polarization of the DNA strands from the D12 subharmonics all the way down. It gives the feeling of separation and individuation. With the indigo imprint, there's polarization in the strands only from D6 down. There's full bonding and total mirroring of the templates of the DNA from strands 7 and up. It creates not quite full separation from each other, but allows them to anchor the Kundalini, which is the primal sound fields, and the Kirasha, the primal light fields frequencies. If you are totally separated into polarity, you cannot anchor those frequencies. The indigo flame pair is the exact same being from strands 7 and up because they have the same coding. When you separate gender twins, it creates a very, very deep pain inside, a biological felt ache that doesn't go away. If the other is not where it's supposed to be, it can be felt. It is often felt as the pain of separation in one's whole being. We've been living under that since 22,500 BC, when the Nubarian dyadic crystal grid was activated. Gender twins misfire. The cosmic clock that determines the angle that frequency comes into our reality system and our biological system was messed with the planetary and solar shields, which created a distortion where gender twins misfire in their time pulsation and do not incarnate on the planet simultaneously. So they rarely run into each other due to the vibrational pattern timeline misalignments. One of the reasons this was done, so gender twins can't find each other and do not do the nasty deed. That nasty deed isn't necessarily about sex. Gender twins can still do it by combining fields because their DNA templates have the abilities to merge without being physically together. One of the greatest secrets of the Moda Adhara complex is that the male and female exist inside each of us. In a particular part of the anatomy, we contain the entire program of the other, which means we have our gender twin inside of us, as well as its being around outside of us. One of the fastest ways to bring it in is to activate it in the inside. The mathematical program that we exist as always contains a gender twin within it. Therefore, activation of our twin self is not entirely dependent on whether or not our twin is on this planet with us. The Moda Adhara complex holds our inner twin. It means you are not stuck waiting around somewhere after this incarnation waiting for your gender twin to ascend. The Moda Adhara complex is a set of crystalline structures in our bioenergetic system that allowed for the balance of polarities within, which was shut off due to a past planetary cataclysm. It was this Moda, male, Adhara, female, complex that kept the male and the female energies in balance. Mass twinning event. Planetary drama in December 2000 through the end of 2001, the Guardians needed to re-establish control over Stargate 4 and Stargate 5 by overriding them with the frequencies from Stargate 6, mindful of the fact that this would cause planetary grid acceleration and that the humans were intimately connected to the planetary grids, they created what is called the mass twinning event to prevent everyone on the planet from getting fried by the incoming frequencies. The twinning event goes back to the Nibirian diodic crystal grid. This is one of the nastiest things that was done to this race.